Basement, lowest level, interior room, these are going to be safe places. If you're in a mobile home, you need to get out of there. That's not a good spot to be. If you're just joining us, in fact, you're hearing those sirens going off in your neighborhood, now's the time to implement your tornado emergency plan in those communities, especially in the mobile home communities. Stay away from windows. Make sure your head's protected. Great way to protect your head. You can go into a bathtub in the interior room, because generally bathrooms are in the interior. They don't have windows. A lot of houses have bathrooms like that. Grab a pillow, grab a textbook, anything you can get over your head, and make sure that you're going to be safe from anything that could be flying or any kind of debris. I want to check in with the anchor desk here and see if we're getting new reports of any kind of storm damage. Anybody see anything on Facebook or Twitter, guys?
Just a couple of things, Kyle, and we've been looking at social media, some of the reports coming from the region that you've been talking about tonight. Sirens again sounding in the city of Kalamazoo, getting reports of hail damage on the west side of town, also getting reports of sirens sounding in Marshall and in Hastings. Given the time of the night, though, folks may be in bed and asleep and wondering what's going on, so they're turning on the television to find out, but they should be taking cover.
We're seeing some other information here having to do from Kalamazoo to Galesburg to Battle Creek to Nashville. So there's a lot going on in that area. And of course, people are just hearing the thunderstorms rolling on through, and they're watching this coverage, Kyle, to make sure that they have the right information they need in order to stay safe with their families.
Yeah, you guys bring up a good point. I mean, it's pitch black out there. We have these thunderstorms. Really, the only time you can see circulations, be it funnel clouds, or you're looking at our Kalamazoo Skycam here, the only time you can see circulation, funnel clouds, or even a possible tornado is when you have those flashes of lightning. Between guiding the radar and what you're seeing on air, I'm also flipping back to the National Weather Service chat page, where local emergency managers, storm chasers, even fire department and police officials have a chance to get on and post things that they're seeing. And I'm seeing somebody with a fire department near Battle Creek reporting what looks to be like a funnel cloud through lightning in the M89 region here in northern Calhoun County, dipping up and down. And this is Harry E. Perry writing that it's extremely hard to tell what's going on through the heavy rain there he's seen in a lightning. But according to a fire official in Battle Creek, the possibility of perhaps a funnel cloud there in northern Calhoun County.
Pass along to you as well, Kyle, that Western Michigan University has issued an alert to all students tonight to tell them about the situation, and they want them to be safe and take cover as well.
Yeah, you know, in Kalamazoo here, better safe than sorry. I've said right from the get-go that the tornado threat is not here in Kalamazoo, even though the National Weather Service has chosen to include them in the warnings. Sirens are going off in Kalamazoo. The rotation that I've seen has been north and east of the city of Kalamazoo, but like I explained, you know, especially when it's dark, you don't want to take chances with something like this. When you see rotation in point X, and I'm making up point X, this is for an example, it's possible that even though we're seeing rotation on radar in point X, a tornado could form in point Y. Now, the reason for that is that when radar shoots its beam through these clouds, the farther you get away from the radar site, the higher you have to go in the sky. And so we're seeing rotation that's not necessarily right at the surface, it's somewhat elevated. And if you were able to look at a tornadic situation from the top down, it wouldn't necessarily go in a straight line all the way down to the ground. So you could have rotation in a mesocyclone, or even one of these more benign thunderstorms like this, that could be in point A up above, and it could be in a totally different spot when looking straight down as you go through the earth. So just to recap here, we got this tornado warning that's going for northeastern Kalamazoo County, northwestern Calhoun County, and southern Berry County. It appears that the threat for an actual tornado is low at this point, but given what we saw near Lansing, I think this is the right call. You don't want to take any chances. If you're in this 3-county area, just small parts of these counties, by the way, do the safe thing, do the right thing. If you're hearing sirens going off, or if you're looking at this map right now and say, hey, I live in this area, take shelter. Make sure you're away from windows. Make sure that you're down in a safe spot. Hopefully the basement, if your house has one. If your house doesn't have a basement, a good spot to be is an interior room, like a bathroom. Get your kids in the bathtub, where they're going to be protected by that strong either metal or fiberglass shell of the bathtub or shower wall, away from windows. And like I've said a couple of times now, even with a weak tornado, that's going to be enough to totally rip up an outbuilding and send shards of perhaps building materials into your house. So let's track a couple of these for you. Again, the threat appears to be pretty minimal in the city of Kalamazoo, although I understand why they have decided to sound the sirens in the city of Kalamazoo as we look at that Skycam. A lot of lightning, torrential rainfall, tracking the back edge of what looks like the most potent part of this storm that could possibly be tornadic. You can see some of the communities here that are going to be affected. Highland Park in just a couple minutes. Woodlawn Beach in 3 minutes. Turner's Corner, you've got about 3 minutes. Midland Park and Hickory Corners next 5 to 10 minutes, and Banfield in 13 minutes. Here's Assyria in 7 minutes, Lacey in 21 minutes. 17 minutes out from Vickery Landing, and then once you cross the county line here, right on the county line, in fact, with Eaton County, Nashville, about 34 minutes from now. So that rotation is still showing up on radar as of a couple of minutes ago, and the National Weather Service is keeping that tornado warning posted. And I assume we're still getting reports on Facebook and Twitter. I mean, anytime you see the sirens going off and you have your local television station in continuous coverage, we get a lot of people that are concerned with what's going on, and they get their voice out there and tell us what they're seeing and what they're hearing. Guys, do you have an update for us from the social media desk?
We're getting just a couple of updates about the areas that we talked about in question. But Kyle, I guess had a personal question about the atmospheric conditions tonight. It was so saturated and so humid. What is touching off this system to force these storms to develop?
We've got a warm front that's lifting northward, and when we talk about tornado forecasting, a warm front is oftentimes the most important situation where we want to really pay attention, because now you think of a cold front that comes through, that's when you have this warm humid air mass and the cold front slams through very quickly. That's a quick affair, but with a warm front it's a much more slow affair. So as you have that warm humid air pushing northward, the gradient between the cold air and the warm air as it overtakes it is much less steep, let's put it that way. And the reason that's important is because it gives it much more time for the storm cells to develop this spin at the horizontal. Now you have a horizontal spin along the surface of the earth, and you have an updraft incorporated into that. It can take that spin and spin it upright, and that's how you get tornadoes forming along a warm front. And it's just the simple fact that you have so much more time with a slow-moving, gentle warm front for that spin to develop on the surface of the earth. That's why the warm front's so much more dangerous in terms of tornado production than as is the cold front. The cold front usually moves a lot faster, it's a quick affair, and it's kind of wham bam and it's all out of there. We're getting a new scan of radar data there, and you can see we're still tracking some strong thunderstorms here through northeastern Kalamazoo. It appears to be drying out in Battle Creek. I know the sirens are still going off in Marshall and parts of Calhoun County, and we're still seeing sirens in southern Berry County, but it appears that we've dried out in Battle Creek, at least for now, but we're still keeping a close eye on rotation. In fact, while you look at this brand new radar sweep here, I'm going to flip over to my other terminal and see if there's anything I can see that especially concerns me in terms of rotation. You know, as I analyze this, it does appear that Kalamazoo appears to be in the clear right now in terms of rotation. I know you're still seeing a lot of lightning. I know you're still seeing some really heavy rain. We've got some minor street flooding taking place in the city of Kalamazoo, but the heaviest rotation with this storm cell, Berry County, and it appears now Eaton County. And the National Weather Service, like I said, they've chosen to post a severe thunderstorm warning for Eaton County, not a tornado warning. So it's entirely possible, based on what I'm seeing here, that this tornado threat is starting to wane. And I have not seen any updates here from the National Weather Service on this tornado warning. In fact, the last thing they put out was at 11:21. So the threat, hopefully, it continues to wane. But still, with that rotation that I'm seeing in Berry and Eaton County, it's still a good plan to make sure you're in a safe spot and you take shelter here south of Nashville, northeast of Kalamazoo. That's the danger spot. In fact, okay, this is good. This makes a lot of sense. The National Weather Service has just canceled early the tornado warning for Kalamazoo. So that threat still exists for Berry and northern Calhoun County. And honestly, I think there's a small threat for tornadoes here into Eaton County, but again, the National Weather Service has chosen to post a severe thunderstorm warning for this area.
Down in relation to these storms as well, Kyle, because it's been raining all day long in some of these areas. They've been pounded. You talked about the volume that was coming down earlier. What kind of rainfall are we talking about with this storm?
Pretty spectacular, and that's going to complicate things, Brian. I have a tool here on my radar that can show us an estimate of how fast this rain is falling. This is in inches per hour. Some of these darker red areas are picking up 2 to 3 inches of rain in 1 hour. Look at Eaton County here, about 3 inches. And this all verifies what we're seeing in terms of storm reports. Like I said, right before we went into continuous coverage here, about 11:15, we got a report out of Kalamazoo of almost 1/2 inch of rain in 10 minutes. And so The complicating factor here certainly is the rain. In fact, I've been telling you since the onset of this whole storm system moving in that the primary threats we're going to see tonight, torrential rainfall, I mean coming down in sheets, and that's what's happening here across southern Berry County, and a lot of lightning. Those are the two main problems we're going to see as the course of the evening unfolds. The tornado threat exists. Obviously, we had damage that could possibly have been tornadic near Lansing in northern Ingham and southern Clinton County. There has yet to be a decision made about that, but the primary threats here, Brian and Sue, are going to be a lot of lightning and very, very heavy rain.
We do have some people commenting on Facebook and on our website as well, Kyle. They're wondering, what about some of the surrounding counties? What are they going to be dealing with as well? Is there any possibility that there be any tornadic activity that would come maybe a little bit north of that area?
Well, when you're dealing with a warm front, yes, anything's possible. But if you were to ask me that question at 11, I would actually have the same exact answer as I'm going to give you right now. That threat is very low. We do have this tornado warning. We have seen rotation on radar. We haven't seen any tornado touchdowns or evidence of a tornado yet. But the threat remains very low for tornadoes, and these are the kind of thunderstorms I can tell you from experience that when they do produce tornadoes, they are on the EF0, EF1, perhaps low-end EF2 scale. And when you think about the tornado scale, the Fujita scale, it's like the hurricane scale. They go from 0 or 1 all the way up to 5. 5's the high-end stuff. 5 is what we saw in Moore, Oklahoma. These type of thunderstorms often produce the weaker variety of storms, but like I've said, you talk about a 100-mile-per-hour wind within an EF1 or EF2 tornado, that's going to be strong enough to do some very significant damage. Generally, the strongest of thunderstorms we see in an average summer produce winds 65 to 75 or 80 miles per hour. So we're talking about storms that exceed that. Localized damage. It is dark out. You cannot see these things coming. When we show you rotation on radar, it's pretty minimal. It's tough to pick out exactly where that storm cell is. And so the threat certainly remains here that we could see a tornado north of this zone tonight, but it seems unlikely at this point, Sue. So bottom line, I want people to rest easy tonight, but it's going to be difficult because we're going to have so much lightning, so much thunder. Those will be the primary threats in addition to torrential rainfall as we head into the overnight.
Just checking Facebook as well here, Kyle, some of the other posters saying that it looks like Goodrich took a hard hit just up the road from one viewer. Also, north of the warning area, in the watch area that we're looking at, northbound US 31 between Laketon and Apple Avenues in Muskegon, raining very hard right now. A lot of thunder there. Folks off Airline also reporting a lot of moisture falling from the sky.
We are seeing some really heavy rain here across southern Muskegon County, right into the Muskegon proper area, and that heavy cell is up near Wolf Lake right now. But yeah, we picked up some really heavy rain with a quickly growing thunderstorm cell over southern Muskegon County. A lot of lightning with that also. You can see that here when I turn on lightning tracker. I mean, it's just been a serious light show tonight. Here it is across southern Muskegon County. You can see that pushing through. Also Oceana County getting a good thunderstorm here too. But some very vivid lightning, as you mentioned here in Muskegon, Brian, and we're seeing some pockets of yellow, and I'm sure red will follow with these heavy rain cells in Muskegon County. To summarize what's going on for a bigger scale now, to divert some attention from the tornado warning for a second, you can see that thunderstorm warning is out for Eaton County. We're still under a general thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning anymore for Kalamazoo County. And then the county shaded in orange from I-94 south, that watch box, I'll flip off radar so you can see this better. That watch box is for a severe thunderstorm watch until 2 a.m. So that threat's going to continue here for a while here overnight tonight. Now flipping off warnings and turning lightning back on, look at this. It's just copious strikes of lightning here within the last half hour. Look at these numbers. We're closing in on 4,000. Amazing amounts of lightning. I was telling my producer right before the show started that of all the thunderstorms we've seen so far in West Michigan this year, which hasn't been that many when you count them up, but this is by far the most intense lightning show I've seen out of any of these thunderstorms so far this year. So again, that's going to be the primary threat. I want to track some of these cells that are going to be affecting Grand Rapids and Muskegon and Holland and points northward here as we head through the overnight. I'll flip lightning off. You can see some of the heavier, the more intense cells west of Muskegon, middle point of Lake Michigan, also offshore from Milwaukee to Racine, about 60 miles west of Holland. These cells, the direction on these, basically east, perhaps just a touch north of east. This will be into Holland by about 1 o'clock. secondary cell for Port Sheldon, Grand Haven, and western Ottawa County by 1:19. Another storm cell here for western Muskegon County, Montague, Pentwater, Whitehall by about 12:30. Interior parts of Muskegon County near Wolf Lake by 1 a.m. We'll see the storms pick up. And then you've had these rumblers moving across northern Newaygo and southern Oceana County. I haven't been forgetting about you. It's just not a severe situation here. That's been going on for the last half hour, 45 minutes, if not even a little bit longer than that. Let's go back to this tornado warning that continues for southern Barrie and northern Kalamazoo County. Get the recap on that. That is still in effect until 12:15. And while we look at the latest sweep of radar data, bear with me for a second because I'm going to put a track back on this in just a second. But I want to flip over to the National Weather Service chat page and see if we're getting any new information from them. They are, well, that funnel cloud report that I gave you from near Battle Creek, actually 3 miles northeast of Augusta. So now we're in Kalamazoo County, right near the Calhoun County line. The fire department there reporting a funnel cloud. That was at 11:30. It says the fire department reported a funnel cloud northwest of Battle Creek. That location is approximate, again, 3 miles northeast of Augusta. And so I presume, even though on radar it looks like this threat is diminishing pretty rapidly, I presume that lone funnel cloud report is the reason that the National Weather Service is allowing this tornado warning to continue until midnight. So if you're just being awakened by all this lightning, all the thunder, very, very loud out there, very heavy rain. We're going to be looking at some torrential rain and some likely minor flooding, street flooding, farm fields, your backyard, perhaps some people who are unlucky, their basements. That tornado warning continues until midnight for southeastern Barrie County, south and west of Nashville, and northern Calhoun County. But you look at the void of radar data over Calhoun County. All along, I've maintained that the tornado threat here, especially Battle Creek, is minimal. Perhaps you have sirens going off in Battle Creek. I know they have been in Kalamazoo and a number of cities in this warning track. But again, the tornado threat appears to be pretty minimal in Calhoun County.
People on social media saying that the sirens are going off in the Galesburg area, in the Battle Creek area, over in the Springfield area, and I'm just trying to get the warning out to people that may need to take cover. We do have some information about power outages coming in, Kyle, and here's what we have for you. In Cooper Township, which is on the north side of Kalamazoo, 200 people are affected there.
Also in southeast Barrie County, a couple of reports coming in near Assyria, about 100 or so outages there. That's reported within the last hour. And so those folks may be looking at a long night as these storms continue to roll through that region.
And Brian and Sue, a lot of people, when we have situations like this, will ask, Kyle, why do you guys stay on the air for an hour when you're saying that the tornado threat here is minimal? Well, there's a couple of reasons. A, better safe than sorry. If there is an actual tornado here, which we're not going to be able to know until it's light tomorrow morning, or if there's significant damage reports coming in later tonight, if we don't get those reports until tomorrow morning or late tonight, it's always better safe than sorry. And the second reason that we do this is because there are a lot of people who are going to be awakened by tornado sirens, by lightning, thunder, and certainly you can envision what they're going through when they get awakened in the middle of the night. You have screaming children who hear this going on. Everybody's scared, wants to know exactly what's going on. We want to be there for you when this kind of thing happens in your community. So I know Jay Leno's on. We're going to get to him as soon as this tornado warning expires. We know that's important. We take that very, very seriously, but our commitment to public safety is such that we feel we need to be on the air when there's a tornado warning issued like this, especially when it's moving through a more populated area. Battle Creek, you're right on the fringe of this. Southern Barrie County, not a lot of population there, but every person counts to us. And when you have sirens going off in your neighborhood, and you have loud bursts of thunder and lightning going off, it can be a frightening situation. And we want to make sure that you have all the information that we have here in the 24-hour tracking center. So that's why we're continuing this coverage until the tornado warning expires, which is coming up here. In fact, see if we've got an update from the National Weather Service. The tornado warning for southern Barrie and northwestern Calhoun County, that goes until 12:15. And it'll be interesting to see if the National Weather Service allows this to expire a little bit early. As I look at this cell on my other radar terminal, the far northern part of this warning, so we're talking about areas between Hastings and Battle Creek in northern Barrie County, still seeing a little bit of rotation right here along M37. It's not significant, but like I've said a number of times here over the course of the evening, these types of thunderstorms have produced tornadoes in West Michigan before. I've seen it I've seen it. I mean, I've broadcast the coverage, and I've gone down to see the storm damage the next day or even that night in some cases. And what you'll see out of thunderstorms that produce tornadoes that look like this on radar is EF0, EF1, EF2 type damage, and that's enough to destroy an outbuilding, to destroy a chicken coop, to knock down small to medium trees, or sometimes even large trees that have rot in them or are ready to go already. And the other thing to consider here is that we've seen heavy, heavy rain. And when you get torrential rainfall over a course of a couple of days or several bouts of heavy rain like we've seen today, that really loosens up the soil. And so if you have moist, muddy soil in the root structure of a tree, and then you incorporate into that mess some strong gusty winds or a weak tornado, it's going to take what otherwise might be a strong, stout tree that you would think would never come down and knock it over. That soil structure is just not as strong as it used to be. You get a gust of good wind, the leaves are out. When the leaves are out, they act like small parachutes catching the wind. That can topple a really big tree. And I've been out on those sites when we've had storms just like this that produce smaller tornadoes, and the homeowners are shocked. They've had that tree on their property for 40 years. It gets knocked down in a strong wind, and it's because of those exact reasons that I just told you. Let's go back to radar full. I want to do a little bit more tracking here. What I'm seeing on radar here when I flip over to my other terminal is the opposition of the green and the red next to each other. That's what we look for the differences in wind speeds on radar. Doppler radar can look into a storm. It can bounce a signal off raindrops within a thunderstorm, and it's able to tell the direction and speed, not the direction, I'm sorry, the speed of those raindrops away or toward the radar. And from that, we can deduct the rotation within a storm. So it's this part in southern Barry County that I'm especially concerned with. Calhoun County, you're in the clear. I don't think there's any question about that. At this point, the tornado threat for Calhoun County is over. But for Barry County here, especially southeastern Barry County, bordering on Eaton County, there's still a minor, just a little bit of rotation here with this particular cell to the south and west of Nashville. So if you're watching us, I know this has been a long haul. This warning came out at 11:15. But if you're watching us from parts of Barry County, south of Hastings along M37, you still want to be in a safe spot, okay? The storm's moving northeast at about 35 or 40 miles an hour, and that's going to put the rotating part of the storm in Nashville in 19 minutes. Into Eaton County, about 22 minutes from now. Here's Carlisle in 27 minutes, Vermontville and Eaton County in about 26 minutes. And again, I've talked about the threat from these in terms of weak to moderate tornadoes. The other characteristic that I found with tornadoes that come out of storms like this is that they're down for a very brief period of time. And so when you look at the odds of significant damage at your property, yes, that threat is low, but when a tornado drops down out of the sky quickly, and even if it's only on the ground for a quarter mile or a half mile, if that hits your property, that's going to be a devastating situation for you and your family. And again, like I've discussed, these type of thunderstorms, I've seen them before, several times per year in West Michigan on average. Thunderstorms that look just like this produce EF0, EF1, EF2 tornadoes that do enough damage to destroy outbuildings and pick up picnic tables. I've seen chicken coops that have been shredded because of this. I've seen barns. You think about those old, beautiful barns you see out in the country. I've been through Allegan County after a tornado swept through and seen those destroyed, and families devastated by the loss of some of the property and even sometimes farm animals. And that's not even to say what can happen to your house in terms of shingles getting knocked down, things being thrown through large glass windows in your house, especially the non-tempered windows. Think about those huge shards of glass that could be flying around in your house. Dangerous situation. Let's go over to the anchor desk and get an update from Brian and Sue.
You know, Kyle, you mentioned the time that this is all happening. I've noticed that some people are saying that they were asleep and heard the sirens and then were able to get up and get to safety. And there are some other people that said that they haven't been able to hear the sirens at all. So even though they know they're going off in their area because of, I would imagine the storm is loud also. So maybe it could be drowning out the siren in some areas. So, you know, if you know someone in that area, it might be a good idea to give them a call too, just to make sure that they are able to get to safety, because it is a little bit later at night and they could have gone to bed early.
No question. I mean, this is a scary situation, Sue, that you mentioned. When you wake up in the middle of the night and you have tornado sirens going off in your neighborhood, you turn on the TV and you see a tornado warning. You want to get the latest information. And to address the point that you're bringing up about tornado warnings going off in some communities and not others. Now, the National Weather Service posts these severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, but it's up to the individual communities be it the local fire department or the police or the sheriff's department or even town hall, to sound the sirens. And so it's entirely possible that some communities have their sirens going off that are under this warning. Some communities do not. It is up to the individual lowest common denominator, or I shouldn't say that, the lowest common unit of government is what I'm trying to say, as to whether or not these sirens get sounded. Now, recapping the bigger scene, since we've been on the air here at 11:15 with continuous tornado warning coverage for Barry and northwestern Calhoun County, this line of storms has started to fill in here. Newaygo, Kent, Ottawa, we're seeing some pretty heavy rain, solid thunderstorm activity, a lot of lightning with this. Now, of course, the heaviest of the lightning is the area where the tornado warning is. It becomes a little more sparse once you get into Kent County. But we're going to see the rain start to pick up here in Grand Rapids and along the 131 corridor here in the next half hour to 45 minutes, or even sooner than that. You can see some of the darker greens here in far western Kent County. Let's track some of this heavy rain into Grand Rapids here by about 12:15. Coopersville, you're seeing some pretty heavy rain right now. That makes it into Rockford and Comstock Park by about 12:15 a.m. Southern Muskegon County over towards Cedar Springs, Kent City, and Sparta by 12:30. Now, this is not severe weather here, and I don't expect it to be severe weather, but we are going to see an increase in the intensity of rain. A lot of lightning out here over the center part of the lake. That storm cell is tracking eastward as well. In Holland, you are already seeing rain and lightning. The heaviest of this is off to our west. We'll see that move in by 1 a.m. for western Ottawa and northwestern Allegan County, and then also a pretty vigorous storm cell, but not severe, over central Lake Michigan. That will be up toward Montague, Whitehall, Pentwater, and northwestern Muskegon County here by about 12:34 a.m. Now, back to the storm that we're really concerned with and continue to have a lot of care for. Torrential rainfall moving through Kalamazoo with this storm cell, and now it moves into southern Barry County. I mean, you look at what's going on in Barry County, you can't even see the county lines here because there's so much lightning with this. That area of dark red, that's where the rotation is with this particular storm cell, and the National Weather Service has kept this tornado warning up for Calhoun County and northwestern northwestern Calhoun County and southeastern Barry County. Although certainly for Calhoun County, I think it's time for the Weather Service to let this expire. But perhaps we can, it's up to them if they want to keep it going for Barry County or not. But I think Calhoun County, your threat is over in terms of tornado. But you're going to see a lot of heavy rain and some more lightning. Okay, this is good news. Just coming in here within the last 30 seconds, the National Weather Service is issuing a severe thunderstorm warning for the area that's covered by the tornado warning. Now, they haven't canceled the tornado warning yet, but to me that tells me that they're going to let it expire or cancel it early here. That brand new severe thunderstorm warning has just been hoisted for, again, Barry, Calhoun, and Kalamazoo County. That goes until 1 a.m. I can't tell you for a fact, but I presume this is going to replace the tornado warning. This new information just coming in from the National Weather Service. Again, it's southern Barry County, Calhoun County, and eastern Kalamazoo County, and that goes until 1 a.m. Okay, so if they've issued this severe thunderstorm warning for southern Barry County, that means the tornado threat has officially ended for Barry County. And as I look at my other radar terminal here, I'm looking for rotation. I still see very, very little. That's been the case for the last 15 minutes or so. The heaviest of the rotation was from about 11:10 to about 11:35 or so. And over the course of the last 25 minutes, even though the intensity of this storm, when you talk about heavy rain and lightning, that has not petered out, the rotational component of it has seemed to petered out. So we haven't officially, the tornado warning hasn't officially been released yet, but we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been posted for Barry County as well as Calhoun County. So I suspect that they're going to let that go here pretty quickly. One more recap of the situation for everybody all across West Michigan, because I know we're spending a lot of time on what's going on here west of Charlotte and southeast of Hastings, but there are a lot of other powerful thunderstorms moving through West Michigan, a ton of lightning. Another area of focus for us, northern Newaygo, parts of Lake County, also northern Kent County, southeastern Muskegon County, parts of Ottawa County, and a couple more pretty good-sized thunderstorm cells here just west of Pentwater, just west of Holland. They are moving at about 45 miles per hour, and so that's going to push off to the east, and we track these into Holland by about 1 o'clock, into Pentwater by about 12:27. New era in Whitehall, Montague, perhaps a better geographic estimate of where those will be about 12:30. I want to send it over to Brian Sue one more time here and see if we're getting any updates on what people are saying on social media, emails, Twitter, Facebook, etc.
Well, yeah, Kyle, again, we're getting reports of power outages in that area where the warnings are in the southern portion or viewing area. Power outages there, localized flooding, some reports of hail damage, and a lot of folks on social media expressing frustration at the National Weather Service tonight. And maybe, Kyle, you can walk us through this. Their policies and procedures, as you understand them, why wouldn't we get, as has been expressed online here tonight, watches and a warning, maybe a thunderstorm warning as a heads up? Why would they go right to the tornado warning?
First of all, before I answer that question, I want to point out the tornado warning has officially been canceled. So the threat is over for tornado warnings. But why do we jump right from a watch? Why do we skip the steps of watch and thunderstorm warning first? The reason's pretty simple. The watches themselves, and keep in mind, a thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch just means we need to watch for severe weather, the possibility of severe weather. In fact, we do have that severe thunderstorm watch out south of I-94. But the reason we can jump right to a tornado warning without seeing a thunderstorm warning first is because a thunderstorm doesn't necessarily have to be producing large hail or strong straight line winds to be tornadic, and that's the case tonight. This cell that we've been spending so much time on in parts of northeastern Kalamazoo, southeastern Barry, northwestern Calhoun County, that thunderstorm, as far as I can tell, not a hail producer, not a straight line wind producer, but it did have rotation and it had a ton of lightning. Lightning alone does not make for a severe thunderstorm warning, so if you have rotation on a thunderstorm that doesn't have other severe characteristics, big hail, strong straight line winds, that's how we jump right to a tornado warning. And believe me, I understand it can be very frustrating when a tornado warning is posted and the thunderstorm that's prompting this tornado warning doesn't look that imposing on radar. We see this a lot in West Michigan. I mean, this is obviously not the heart of Tornado Alley. We haven't had an F5 tornado in Michigan since the 1950s, when we had two, one of which was the Standale tornado in 1956. That's the last time we've had an F5 tornado. It's been half a century. But we do on a frequent basis see thunderstorms that, like this, that don't look that imposing, that can produce a tornado with very little notice. And so given the fact that the tornado threat appears to have ended, at least for now, we're fully staffed overnight. Kirkwood's on his way in right now. Given the fact that the tornado threat, imminent tornado threat has ended, we want to conclude severe weather coverage at this point. But just know, Brian and Sue, that we're going to keep on this very closely. We'll be posting updates on social media, on woodtv.com, as well as Twitter, at WoodTV8. You can find me at WX8 and also on the respective Facebook pages. And so immediate tornado threat over, but severe thunderstorm warnings continue for Kalamazoo, Calhoun, and Barry County, as well as Eaton County, and those go until 1 a.m.
Okay, Kyle, thank you. Of course, we will have people staffed in the Storm Team 8 Tracking Center all night long. We'll continue to track everything. We'll come on air as needed. We will bring you those live updates all night long as we get more information that comes in. We will pass it along to you. Daybreak, of course, starts at 4:30 a.m. So make sure and stay with us for all the latest information that has to do with the severe weather.